Okay, hi everyone, welcome back, and in this update we are going to check out Ondo's price chart and see what is happening in the short term. And I think I'm able to tell you that hopefully we have hit some sort of a low, but the job is not completely done yet. Now, before we get into all that good stuff, real quick, we are going to talk about this important announcement. And in case you're not really active on Twitter, you see, Ondo just integrated with Binance's wallet, and this, in my view, is actually like a meaningful upgrade for the whole tokenized stock space, because with this move, millions of Binance Wallet users can actually access on those tokenized stocks and ETFs directly from their wallets. No extra applications, no extra steps. And the key part in here, as we talk about this subject in every single Ondo video, in my view, is that Ondo doesn't really rely on a small on-chain liquidity pools. Okay, I think this is like a massive deal, because if you have a very large order, I think in case that your chain is using a liquidity pool, you are going to actually experience a bit of a slippage, and that's not really ideal. Now, with what Ondo is doing, when somebody buys a tokenized stock, their trades actually routes straight to traditional markets like NYSE and Nasdaq, so users do get real market pricing, deep liquidity, and basically zero slippage, even for bigger trades. And this is, in my view, the most important point that will hopefully open doors to more and more adoption for Ondo. Also, you want to know that the assets are actually going to stay fully on chain in here, so people do get a 24/7 transferability and also instant minting and redemption during market hours. And what Ondo is doing here is basically this: they are combining the speed of blockchain with the liquidity of Wall Street, and I think so far this is actually the best way to go about it. And that's why I think they are going to have more and more adoption in the future. And in terms of this specific integration, I think this is actually kind of a big deal, because it does put Ondo's product directly in front of one of the biggest user bases in the crypto market, and it does remove friction and make adoption a whole lot more natural, which is what we love to see as Ondo investors. So overall, I think this is actually quite a big deal, and not a lot of people right now, since the prices are down, are going to pay attention to these types of news. But if you are a fair value investor, if you care about fundamentals of your project, I think these are actually the things that you need to pay full attention to. Now, if you do not care about any of them, you know what? I guess fair enough. I don't really have control over what you care and don't care. And if you just care about what is happening in terms of price action in like very short term, okay, I think I also have good news for you. You see, first things first, let's talk about the long-term structures. And in Ondo, this actually looks a whole lot different than a lot of other altcoins. Why is that? Because in a lot of altcoins in this phase on the upside, we actually got a bit of a 5-wave up, but in Ondo, we got, I think, an A, B, C, probably I'm gonna say in form of a zigzag, and I'm willing to say, followed by this zigzag up. From this point and not the highest high, we are having a correction structure down, and that one can be, for instance, maybe in form of like a flat and a zigzag into a larger degree wave X. And I do think that we are going to have at least another move on the upside into our wave Y. And if this scenario that I'm thinking is in play, then okay, our move up in Ondo is probably going to be in form of an ABC zigzag. Now, if you like to go according to the most pessimistic scenario between all the bullish possibilities, well, okay, I think you should just focus on having this a strong bounce into our wave A, which I do think that by the end of this cycle, we are going to have this thing, and we're going to get to about the previous major pivot high in here, about, let's say, $2.5. And then, fair enough, maybe if you want to be pessimistic, you should have this B leg down for your next bear market, and then again, another great move on the upside into your wave C bear minimum. Now, if you want to be a bit more optimistic, then okay, let's just have this move up by the end of this cycle, which the targets for it are actually going to be quite high, maybe even somewhere between $5 to $7, $8. I think that can actually happen. And also, I think Right now in Ondo, in the short term, we are around like a very important support area, and I do have a bit of a hard time believing that we are going to get a break of this thing. That's why right around the lows, I am a big buyer of Ondo, and I do think we are going to have bare minimum a very solid bounce. Now, let's go on maybe H1 time frame and see what is happening. You see, in terms of Elliott's waves, if you want to argue that we're going to have our final low around this area, then okay, show me off of the low slow a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up in order for me to maybe flip a little bit bullish. Now, this specific structure is called an impulsive movement. Rules for it are we should not have overlapping of the waves between our wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, wave 3 should not be the smallest wave. And in terms of the sub waves, okay, we're gonna have 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. And for wave 2 and 4, we can consider different counts. Let's say, sure, WXY into our wave 4, and maybe an A, B, C structure into wave 2. Let's go on the live chart and see what is going on in here. Now, in the previous video, I believe we were specifically right in here, and we talked about the idea of having a series of 1-2 structures in Ondo, and we were like, well, okay, this move has to continue, and it did continue. But now I think I'm also able to identify some other structures as well and pay attention to this specific move down from this point to about here, because in terms of the subwaves, do we all agree that this is most likely a 3-wave movement? Probably I'm going to argue in form of an ABC zigzag. Now, why do I care about this thing? Because I don't really think that I'm able to tell you maybe like a correction started from this point and it's going to be an ABC flat structure, since into the C leg of an ABC flat, we're gonna have a 5-wave and not an ABC, and that actually changes my primary scenario in Ondo a little bit. You see, I am going to argue that probably in Ondo, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, and on a higher degree, we are having this 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another move up into wave 5 to about this point. And pay attention, this is really the key. If we are truly bullish, then okay, this 5 wave up, this white one, has to be into a larger degree wave 3, and I want to say this is probably a correction structure, and it does actually have characteristics of a corrective movement, since so far at least this is a bit of a slow and choppy move down, hopefully into wave 4. And again, we have to have yet another move on the upside into our wave 5 in order for me to talk bullish with more confidence. And I'm not really sure if you are a fan of classic patterns, but if you like them, I guess maybe this is going to be also a bit of a head and shoulder structure. And let's just draw the next line. There we go. Now, as you can see, right now, this isn't really confirmed yet. You need to be a bit patient and see, are we going to get a break of the next line? And by that, I'm talking about going above this level, do a pullback, and then get a continuation of the move up in order to take this. If we do this, I guess it can be another optimistic sign, but I don't really care about it that much. All I care about is having a 5-wave off of the lows, and hopefully we are going to get this. And if we do, okay, great sign at that point. Sure, maybe we are going to have a bit of a pullback down, but I do believe that this pullback at that point is hopefully going to be a decent buy opportunity, in hope that we end up having a very strong break out of this area. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Ondo's chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.